from my heart and don't use a cheat sheet and everything. And I said, oh my goodness, you know, I don't think so, because, you know, it's the attack from my heart, it's my head that needs the help. So I had to have my little cheat sheet. And but then I thought, well, gosh, that's kind of awful, because, you know, my head needs help, and now my heart needs help. So between the two, I'm not sure. So I'm happy to be here. I do want to say, though, with the heart attack, you know, you learn a lot of things. You learn that you should have taken better care of yourself your whole life and things like that. It is hard for type 1 diabetics. They have a high risk of heart disease and stroke and everything else that you could probably name. So, but all of us, well, there's some young people here, but you know, people are getting older, and if you could recognize the symptoms of heart attacks and things like that, and know about it. You know, my brother and sister that work at the hospital say that they are seeing an increasing number of that. So, just wanted to put that out there. When I was young, I was telling you about my mother boiling the syringe. I told her that she could not tell anybody that I was a diabetic. And I was a freak. And she told me, I have to tell your teachers. And I said, okay, but none of the kids. So she didn't tell any of the kids. Cheat sheet too. You know, and back then too, we had to test our blood sugar by a urine test. So you peed in a bottle and you stuck a strip in it, and you know, and that was 2 hours old. So you know, you never really knew what your blood sugar was. So then, you know, along came the blood glucose meters and all that. So that was cool. I did calculate about how many shots I had in my life, and I came up with 50,000. And how many times I poked my finger, it's 40,500. So, and that's a little on the low side, because when you're sick, if you give more shots, you poke your finger more, things like that. So there, you know, my mother never gave me any sympathy, and she was really, you know, she was tough. She was tough, and she brought me up tough. And she never gave me any sympathy or any pity, but tonight I thought maybe I could get a little. Can you all go, oh. Any other diabetic kids at all. And so when I was 14 years old, my brilliant mother and brilliant doctor told me that they thought it'd be a good idea if I went to this diabetic camp. I'm 14. I'm like, what? I don't know anybody. And so they put me in the back of an army truck and some other kids, and we went all the way up to the San Bernardino Mountains, and for 2 weeks I was going to be gone. And so anyway, I got up there and I started meeting other diabetics. There was like 200 kids with the same problem. It was phenomenal. It was the first time in my life that I ever felt normal. And at that camp, if you're not diabetic, you're not normal. It's really a cool thing. So, you know, I just want to give a lot of credit to the camp. You know, we had, they weighed your food. They don't do that anymore. We had so many calories we were on a day, and so they, you know, they give you, sometimes you just weren't hungry, so we learned how to put peanut butter on the bread up under the table, and we can kind of manage our bodies. So, but they had an amphitheater, we had songs, we had Take Me Out of Camp Jazz. You guys remember that? Oh, yeah. Well, we might have to sing it later. Oh, I've lost my underwear. Remember that one? I don't know what that has to do with diabetes, but had skits, and it was so fun. And Mr. Anonymous, I wish you knew who he was, because he played the Sugar Plum Fairy one year, and he came out in a pink tutu. So if you figure out who he is, give him a really hard time.
I think there's 2 anonymous people here.
Who spoke? Who was that? Did I hear a familiar voice? Mr. Anonymous? Call him Squirrel too. Oh, oops, sorry. You know, we went hiking to a Jinx Lake. It was about half a mile away. Went in canoes, and you know, every morning we had, back then we didn't have blood meters, and then you had to stand in a line to get your shot before you went to breakfast. So a line of kids, and you know, it was just such great things. Archery up there. We went on overnighters. You know, they told you horrible stories in the middle of the night, in the middle of the clearing, and you didn't sleep all night because you're waiting for the white albino to come get your eyes. You see my eyes like yours? Oh. So anyway, it came time to leave, and I did not want to leave. I did not want to leave. I cried and I cried and I cried. And 3 of these ladies sitting at this table right here, Kathy Naff, sorry Kathy, she's married now and she got a different name, Rachel Stevens and Sharon Hoffman. We were all in the same cabin together. So I'm really happy to see them here tonight. And we kept in contact, you know, most of us. Somehow, don't ask me how, Sharon and Kathy and I became foodies. And don't ask me what a foodie is, because I really don't know to this day, but we are foodies. And it's really cool to be able to keep friends that are other diabetics you can talk to and things like that, and communicate. It's just really, really a special thing. So I had such a great time. I went back as a camp for another year, and then after that, you went back as junior staff. And so you got to wash the dishes. You got to clean the peanut butter stuck under the table, the bread, off the tables, and you got to clean the toilets. So, I mean, you really had to like it. And then I went back and worked in the camp store, and then after that, I was in the craft shop, and I just love it. So anyway, right now, I want to give you more of a flavor of my camp. So I'd really like to introduce Dr. Rocky Wilson to you, and please give him your attention.
Isn't she unbelievable?
Yeah.
This is the first time I've seen Judy since 1973.
That was probably about 17.
Yes, by about 17. And it's such a great honor to have her come here tonight to talk about camp. You know those tables you talked about? We retired them a couple of years ago. And your peanut butter sandwich was still petrified. They are incredible things. I just want to say a couple things, and I'm going to show you a video about camp to kind of show you what Judy was talking about. But before I do that, I just need to make a comment. I don't have diabetes myself. I started working there when I was 16, washing dishes, and later became a counselor. And I realized that there was something very special about camp. That what camp was doing every day was performing miracles. And I have to tell you that Judy and all of her friends that she introduced to you, that not only are survived diabetes for 50 years, or close to 50 years for a lot of them, but they have done something with their lives is a miracle. You have to imagine being a young child, and diabetes usually strikes children when they're fairly young. Some get it right before they turn into teenagers, which is a worse time to do it, because they understand life without really limits and boundaries on what you eat and where you sleep and when you do activities. And when they're diagnosed and it comes on suddenly, and it's just, the kids equate it to like The Wizard of Oz, where suddenly you're in a hurricane and your whole world changes. It changes forever. And it's a life they cannot ever go back to, because now they have to take shots every single day of their life, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for the rest of their lives. And these kids learn to deal with it. It takes bravery, it takes courage, it takes conquering fears, it takes a lot of support. And the reason that these miracles are here are for several reasons. One, their families are a huge part of that. And another part of that is their friends. All of you are a huge part of why Judy has been able to do what she's done. So I want you to recognize that fact and give yourselves a big hand for that. And now we add in the third part what camp does, and it is still doing it today because they've been telling us there's a cure for diabetes for as long as I've been working there. And that cure is still around the corner, but unfortunately it's a big corner. And it's going to take a few more years before that actually happens. And so we say until there is a cure, there is camp. Because camps helps to teach these kids how to live with it day by day, how to manage their lives. Not just by making friends, but how to look forward with a positive attitude. Because many of these kids really believe they're going to die. And they get made fun of at school. They have nowhere to turn to and no one to talk to because no one understands what it's like to go what they're going through. And you're going to see that in the video, so let me play that now, and then I'll just share a little bit afterwards.